Learn a little bit more about your Mac through this application. Plus, we get to look at the Mad Magazine application.
This episode brought to you by GoToMeeting.
Hey everybody, Jeffrey Powers here. Welcome to iPad 365, the show where we look at an app a day to keep your iPad in play. It's Friday, of course. We answer some viewer mail on Friday, and we've got a couple emails. Of course, we're going to talk about those coming up shortly. First of all, our Twitter handle is iPad365. The email address is iPad365show@gmail.com. You can email me there. Of course, if you go to Geekazine.com and click the contact, you can get me there too. We've got a survey over at Geekazine.com/survey. Go over there, answer the 5 questions, what you like, what you don't like about this show, so we can make it a better show for you. And if you've got a cool background that you want to give me too, we need to change that up. So if you make some backgrounds, let me know and throw me some stuff, and we'll see what we can do from there. Anyway, hey, it is Friday, and of course we have some viewer mail. There's been a couple emails that I've gotten this week, and the real question, of course, the rumor mill is starting to really act up again because a lot of people are believing that there's going to be a 7-inch iPad on the way. So I'm going to answer that question right now, and then basically the question is, will there be a 7.5-inch iPad? My answer is, it depends on if the business needs it. Now, Steve Jobs, back when Steve Jobs was around, he would have just said straight out no. But Tim Cook is a business person. He wants to give you something that you can use. Whether it be the 10-inch iPad or a 7-inch iPad, if it still works and it still makes the company money, I think that they will go forward with it. It's still going to be the iOS software. It's not going to run Windows by any means. It's not going to run Android by any means. So why not come out with a 7-inch iPad and see what happens? Maybe even the 7-inch iPad will also be $500 though. You might think, oh, well, okay, it's 7 inches. That should be $400, right? No, it doesn't always work that way. I'm not too worried about the size of the iPad as it is the amount of memory that the iPad contains. The iPad 3, of course, bumped up to 1 gigabyte inside for the internal memory to run the programs, but the 16 gigabyte, 32 gigabyte, and the 64 gigabyte models stayed the same. I was really hoping they'd say iPad 2 and 16 gigabyte model, but iPad 3 in 32, 64, and 128 gigabyte model. That would have made more sense because somebody like me that wants to put more stuff on, using GarageBand, using iMovie, takes a little bit of extra memory. So I would want that and more memory. However, I can see what a 7-inch iPad can do. For instance, if you use this as a kiosk, if you use this as a weight stand or something like that, instead of carrying this bigger thing, you can actually carry a 7-inch iPad, which you could put into a smaller pocket. Actually, I had a picture about a year ago with me and the Samsung Galaxy Tab, where I actually fit the Galaxy Tab into my shirt pocket. So there's a lot of good use on that. I could see the 7-inch iPad being used for more of a corporate business, and some computer use as well, some regular consumer use, but I would guess the price of that is going to be pretty much the same. All right, the other question comes from John, and he says, hey, I've been hearing about some Wi-Fi issues. Can you tell me a little bit more about what's going on? Well, from what I understand, it's the Wi-Fi only connected models of the newest 3rd generation iPad. Any other iPad will not have these issues. They're having some problems with staying connected. Well, if you go over to 9to5mac.com, you will find that they published an article that says that has an official document saying that Apple is seriously looking into this. They haven't made any decisions whether they're going to recall anything or not. Most likely, and if you remember correctly, a couple years ago when the iPhone 3GS, I believe it was, came out, it came out with some 3G issues, and they found that a piece of software actually corrected the 3G issues. Actually, it was the iPhone 3G, not the 3GS. It had some 3G issues, and they ended up fixing it with software. They are looking at a software workaround, of course, before the hardware workaround and a major recall. But right now, there are complaints out there. We will keep you in touch with what's going on with that and let you know if you've got a Wi-Fi 3rd generation iPad to go and get it checked over at the Apple Store. Of course, we like to use our iPads for many things, including business apps, and one of the business apps I use a lot is called Citrix and GoToMeeting. Now with HD Faces, now right on the iPad. Now you can't run a meeting from the iPad, but you can follow a meeting on the iPad. You can put in your headphones and listen to the meeting, watch the meeting, and with HD Faces, you can see their face, they can see your face. So if you're conducting a meeting and you go, "Hey Joe, it looks like you're in sunny Cancun, Florida, when you're supposed to be in Washington D.C. What's going on there?" And then Joe goes, "Well, from." Anyway, I'm funning with you on that one. You got to put this into your business toolbox. It's a great way to meet with people on iPad, on PC, on Mac. HD Faces means you can see their face and they can see your face. You can all meet together without having to be in the same room, without having to travel, and that's the best part. Save lots of money and do that by going over to GoToMeeting.com. Click the Try It Free Now button, enter in the code PODCAST. Podcast gets you a 30-day free trial of this great software. And that's over at GoToMeeting.com. All right. I talked about this a couple times on the show. My friend Don McAllister, who lives over across the pond in Europe, runs a website called Screencasts Online. Now, what they do is they create video for Mac software, for iPad, for iPhone, and a whole bunch of others. If it's related to Mac, they've got tutorials on it. And a lot of these tutorials you have to pay for, but they do have some free content online. There is a program that Don put out, and he said, "Hey Jeff, can you talk about this for a couple minutes?" I went through the application. I thought it was great. It's a great looking application. It's basically videos, and it's how-to videos. And I love to watch how-to videos when I need to do something. Like, for instance, I'm looking at building my own iPad app, and I'm looking at the videos how to build through Xcode and getting, just the basic software, how to do this, how to do that, just to get an idea of how this works so I can actually branch off and do some other stuff. But this one, Screencasts Online, is an iPad app, just came out this week, and it's a bunch of videos on how-tos. And of course, it's more than just iPad. They've got iPad stuff in there. They got Mac stuff in there. They've got Mac Mini stuff in there if you want to learn a little bit about Photoshop. If you want to learn a little bit about Final Cut, they have a lot of different programs. So, and he just keeps adding there. If you go to Screencasts Online, you can find out a little bit more about the company. They do have a service where you would pay for some of these videos. They do have an application. The name of the application is actually called SCOTutor, Screencasts Online Tutor. So SCOTutor. They're about $4 an application. Of course, if you want to get it for your iOS device, they have one for that. You want to get something for your Mac, they have one for that. They have it for iPad, they have it for Lion, and of course, more of them are going to be coming out very soon. So check it out. My friend's app, Don McAllister, of course, it's called SCO, and then, of course, depending on what device you want, just type in SCOTutor, and you will get all that information. All right, when I started iPad 365, I told myself there are certain rules, certain things that I don't want to do. One of them is I didn't want to just review magazines. If they put out a magazine that you just flip through the pages, it's a magazine. I mean, and that's well and good. You can read your magazines. I have a few here. I have Men's Health. I have Distro for Engadget. I have the New York Times newspaper on my newsstand. But this one is more than just a magazine. So it kind of falls in that app area and, brings back my childhood too. And that is the Mad Magazine app. And of course, this month they have featured Mike and Molly TV show. Mad Magazine, of course, has been around forever. I remember getting it as a kid, reading all the cool parodies in there, and of course the cartoons, the Spy versus Spy, the Sergio Argonas, all that stuff. in the Mad magazine. So this is kind of bringing back my childhood. But better yet is it has a little bit of interactivity. Like for instance, on the front page, you can tap and it turns into a video where everything just kind of falls into place. You turn the pages just like a regular magazine. You hit the screen and you can go through the navigation menu. Like for instance, they have Mad's Make Your Own Twilight movie, where basically you can you're given choices and you can choose. Like the first one is, just as Bella and Edward finally seem at peace, Bella receives, and you can choose either a threatening message, a notice from a jury duty, a pajamagram, a poke, a robocall, and you can choose one of those items. And of course, you can go down and choose some more. They have a lot of the breakouts, like for instance, the little cartoons or comics you would always see on the sides of the inserts. You can now hit the plus button and actually they'll come up full screen. So you can actually, you don't have to squint to see these little cartoons, which was always a fun part of Mad Magazine. Now the best part was the last page, because the last page of the Mad Magazine was always that insert that you would fold over and get a different picture, and of course the punchline to the joke in the back. They actually give two out. Two, can you believe that? They have one, of course, the standard one, the new one, and then a classic one that they put right after that. So there's a little bit more interaction in this So there's a little bit more interaction in this magazine, and of course it brings me back to my childhood. Now, chances are, when I was a kid, we would get like little vinyl inserts where we could put it on our record player. They won't be able to do that. They could make a virtual one for the iPad. So maybe down the road, that's a possibility. We'll have to see for that. But in the meantime, subscription for this is $9.99. You can get issues at $4.99 an issue. You can get back issues at $1.99, or you can get a one-year subscription for $10. Can't go wrong with that. So I got the one-year subscription. What the hey? It's Mad Magazine. Brings back my childhood memories. So this is a magazine that I would highly recommend, especially if you're a geek, to get, and that's the Mad Magazine application. So that's today's episode. Please download SCOtutor. Like I said, that's $3.99 in the App Store, depending on which, whether you get the Line or the iOS or the other ones. And then, of course, the Mad Magazine application. I know Dick Bartolo, who does his own shows, probably is really proud of this. I can't wait to hear what he has to say about the Mad Magazine app. I've been really excited. I enjoy it, and I've actually been showing a lot of people on that. So let me know what you think. Did you download the Mad Magazine or did you check out SCOtutor? Let me know. Twitter me at iPad365. Of course, you can also email me at iPad365show@gmail.com. All right, tomorrow we're going to look at an application that'll help you sort your videos. And it's a fun little application, and we were going to do that in 24 when it will be another iPad 365. My name is Jeffrey Powers, and until then, you guys geek out.
You should follow Graphite on Twitter at GraphiteINC.